day for it these days. It's awesome. Okay. Anyway, this is a poster of Frankie doing one of his signature air steps right here. Judy Pritchett, where are you? In the back? Right there. There's Judy Pritchett. She runs SavoyStyle.com. She has a bunch of these posters with her, and Frankie's going to be doing a signing afterwards. So, yeah. So there's going to be a long line for that, and you're going to want one of those posters. Anyway, you can see Judy for one of those? Right, he is signing, right, Judy? Okay, we have the pens, it's all ready. Good. All right, cool. All right, well, without further ado, I want to announce it's been my privilege to interview this gentleman for the past 3 years when the NCLS has brought him to town, and I'm always very excited to do it. He's an absolute ambassador of the Lindy Hop and a great example of how to live your life and a great example of longevity, and he has a lot of great stories, and we're going to let him get right to it. Please welcome Tony Award-winning choreographer, Frankie Manning. You haven't even done anything yet. Just by show of hands, who hasn't heard Frankie speak before or haven't been with Frankie before? Look at all those new people, Frankie.
Okay, you heard me speak before? Bye.
No. Haven't. It's good. We can stay here. Well, here we are again, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
I can't see you from here. I'm going to move on around so I can see you. Keep an eye on it because I know you're sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
So,
I'm fine, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to, I know most of you know Paul already, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah!
Have you ever heard of, what's this guy on TV, maybe Jay Leno? and this other guy, David Letterman? You heard of those guys?
Yeah, Frankie, you just named 2 ugly guys on TV. What are you saying?
Well, I just wanted to say that I've worked with Paul, and he's been a moderator, and to me now, I think that he's better than both of those guys.
Could you get Frankie to move into the light a little bit more?
Can I get Frankie to move into the light?
Move?
Yeah, you know where the spotlight is, right? You're used to that.
Move into the light.
There you go. Yeah. He's getting cranky now. Did you hear that? Make me move into the light. Is that okay? Are you getting his good side? Is it all good? Okay, all right.
You guys can see me, can't you?
All right. Well, enough. Let's not talk about me anymore. Let's talk about you. So, Frankie, you came up in Harlem, right? That's where you did most of your growing up.
Yeah, Harlem was my stomping ground, man.
Could you take us through a little walking tour of Harlem? Like when you were a kid, Harlem was really exciting at the time, right? I mean, what was it like to just walk down the street in Harlem? What were the places you hung out at? What was the features of the neighborhood you were in?
Well, I just want to tell you, when you walk down the streets of Harlem back in those days, you could hear music coming from everywhere, and mostly because there were nightclubs, there were theaters, and there were ballrooms, like all over Harlem. I don't think there's so many cities that you can go in nowadays and find as many ballrooms as there was in Harlem. There was a ballroom, Paul, and this is the truth, on almost every corner, or at least they were about 5 blocks apart. Like we had on 126th Street and 7th Avenue, there was like the Alhambra Ballroom. And 138th Street and 7th Avenue, there was a Renaissance Ballroom. 2 blocks from there, 140th Street and 7th Avenue, there was the Dunbar Ballroom. 1 block over, 140th Street and Lenox Avenue, there was the Savoy Ballroom. 2 blocks from the Savoy Ballroom, there was the Golden Gate. Golden Gate Ballroom, not the Golden Gate, bridge. And then the Ottawa, there were so many ballrooms, and they had, each one of these ballrooms had live bands, big bands. So, like what we used to do, like especially on a Sunday, or we would like go to the Renaissance Ballroom. Maybe Jimmy Lunsford's band is playing at the Renaissance Ballroom. And we stay there till about maybe 12 midnight. Then we would go to dance at the Savoy Ballroom, which was open until 4 o'clock in the morning. So we would hear Jimmy Lunsford till 12. Then we would go over and hear Chick Webb and Ella Fitzgerald till 4 o'clock in the morning. And we would be dancing. I mean, we go to the Renaissance Ballroom, we'd be dancing. And I was kind of lucky, man, because I was living 140th Street, say a block and a half from where the Savoy Ballroom. So now, like, I would go to 138th Street to the Renaissance Ballroom, and I dance up there, and I get soaking wet. I would go home, change my clothes, and run out of the Savoy Ballroom.
Sure.
In my other suit, I had 2 suits. So I would run out of the Savoy Ballroom, and I would dance to Chick Webb and Ella Fitzgerald. And man, when I would get in there, in the ballroom the Savoy Ballroom, particularly when Ella Fitzgerald was singing with Chick Webb, I would go in there, you know, and Ella would be up on a bandstand, you know, like singing with Chick, and Ella and I was very close, you know, we were just like that. You know. That's me on the top.
Didn't get it either.
I mean, we were very, very good friends. That's all I meant. And I was forward because, you know, like Ella, she was famous, right? Yeah. So I mean, you know, I would go and I'd say, hey sis, or we used to call each other sister and brother, because I knew her that well. So I said, hey sis, come on down and dance with me. And she'd come down off the bandstand and we would dance, man. And then she'd go back and sing, and it's like she was singing to me.
Let's stop there. There are 9-year-old children in the room. Let's save that for after 11. Okay.
But it wasn't just like ballrooms. There were also nightclubs that had like a nightclub was called a Ubangi nightclub, Plantation Club, Small's Paradise, and you know all these ballrooms and. Like back in the early 30s, like 1934, 1935, they also had the Cotton Club, which was a place where Duke Ellington became famous, Cab Calloway became famous, and Nicholas Brothers and all those guys became very famous. And the Cotton Club was the tops. Like they only had the best singers, the best dancers, the best band, you know, only the best. And everything. So if you played the Cotton Club, that means that you were pretty good, man.
So what was the evolution of your interest in dance as it goes on? How did you get started in the beginning being interested? I mean, I know there's music happening all over the block, right? It must have been pretty easy to get interested in the dancing, right?
Oh well, listen, this was like back in the Depression time, and this is Depression time now. Well, for me it is. But anyway, that was like back in the Depression time, and dancing was about the cheapest thing you could do. I mean, we could go to, you know, I know you guys probably never heard of what a vaudeville show.
Yeah, we never heard of that.
And vaudeville show was like back in those days, big bands were like rock stars of today. Because the big bands were the headliner. Say like Duke Ellington would play, and they would have somebody like maybe Lena Horne as a singer, Bill Bojangles Robinson as a dancer, or then they have an exotic dancer, you know. You know what exotic dance is?
I think you better show us.
But they have like these exotic dances, you know, and the chorus girls and all of that. So it was like, you know, like I said, like a vaudeville show. And so dancing was practically all I knew. I hear music, man, and I would just want to dance.
Was it your mother who got you into dancing, or was it seeing your mother?
Well, yes, my mother got me into dancing. Let me see, how can I say that? But Actually, my mother used to tell me that when she was carrying me, you know, when I was young, she was carrying me, and she would go to a party or a dance, and she said she could feel me moving around inside. And she said when the music stopped, I was still there. So that probably, you know, is what, like I said, I came up doing that, and like I used to go to church, Baptist church, and you go to Baptist church, man, and they play all this, yes, Frankie! And people would start dancing, you know, and moving, and then I used to do the same thing. I used to try to, you know, move with it while these people are clapping and singing. Just see them sisters getting up and they be lifting up the skirt, you know. But them days they wore dresses down to there, not up to here. So they would get up and they would be showing their ankles and everything, you know. And they would be kicking up their heels and dancing, and I would be sitting in this seat, you know, just watching them trying to do what they do. And then my mother started to, she wasn't too fond of babysitters. So she would take me, maybe she would go to a party like on Saturday night.
Like a rent party or like a
house rent party. And even though you don't know what it is. But anyway, a house rent party was, you know, like people would own an apartment. And they couldn't get up the rent for that month. So they would give a party. And you paid maybe 25 cents to go in. And they would serve pig feet and potato salad. And 10 cents for a jug of gin. Bathtub gin. Actually, bathtub gin. Because what you do, you go in the kitchen and you say to the lady, now I want to get some gin. So she says, okay, 10 cents. You give her 10 cents and she give you a mug. And you go into the bathroom and you stick the mug in the bathtub and get yourself a mug of gin. And this was homemade, baby. So you only needed one.
That was before antibacterial soap, too. Taking an extra risk.
So my mother used to take me to these parties with her, and they used to have like a piano player. And well, they didn't pay him, but what he would do, he would take his hat and put it up on the piano, and the people would, you know, like put coins in there for him, and he'd be playing all these, you know, this honky-tonk stuff, you know, and then sisters and brothers would get out on the floor after they done had about one jug of gin, you know. They'd be out there on the floor, and they'd be grinding, and you call it blues now. Back in those days, they call it grinding. They call it like it was. And they would be in there just grinding and dancing and doing the Charleston and all these different things. Now, my mother had put me in the room where all the hats and coats were. And she said, well, Frankie, you can stay in here and you go to sleep. And when I get ready to leave, I'll come and get you and take you home. But little did she know that I was always at the door, man. I'd be at the door, and I'd be peeping out and looking at them sisters and brothers up there cutting up the food, you know, and they'd be dancing and carrying on, and I'll be behind the door trying to do what they do. I thought I was doing what they were doing. And so all of this I just got in my bones, Paul. So this is actually how I kind of started out doing it.
Your mother, though, didn't think so much of your dancing at first, though, did she?
Oh, man. I tell you, it was one Halloween. It was in October, yeah, it was Halloween night. And my mother said to me, she said, hey, Frankie, you want to go to dance with me tonight? So I say, dance with your mom? Yeah, sure. Well, you know how it is. Your mother and father say, I'm going to take you to a baseball game. Your mother say, I'm going to take you someplace. You know, you get all excited. Yeah, you go with my mother, yeah. Say, yeah, Mom, I want to go to dance with you. So she said, well, my club is giving a dance at the rented out ballroom, which is just up the street from where I live, 138th Street. So I live down the street from there. So she said, well, yeah. She said, well, what you have to do, though, you got to go to help me decorate the ballroom today. So I said, yeah, Mom, I'm going to help you take her to the program so I can go to dance tonight, yeah. So I'm walking out of the street, my mom on my way to the Renaissance Ballroom, and I see all my friends out there in the street, you know. They out there playing, you know, and they say, hey, Frankie, how you doing? I say, I'm doing fine, man. I'm going to dance tonight with my mom. And they, you know how I got kids are, oh man, you ain't good. I said, yeah, I'm going to dance tonight with my mom. I'm going up there right now to get her over there. Get out of here, man. You full of stuff, man. You're So anyway, I go up and I helped my mother decorate the ballroom, putting stalks and pumpkins and all that stuff up, and ribbons and balloons and stuff. So we finished that, you know, and I come back home, Jim. I get home, take off my clothes, jump in the tub, take a bath, you know, get dressed and everything, and I'm ready. Mom, I'm ready. She said, Frankie, it's 7 o'clock, the dance is at 9. I said, okay. Every 5 minutes. I said, Mom, is it time yet? She said, oh, Frankie, 5 minutes ago, I told you it was just 7 o'clock. Dance is at 9. But you know how, I mean, I got 2 hours, man. 2 hours to wait. Boy, then you know, man, I had to answer my past because I was just fidgeting and everything. But anyway, Robert, it was time. I'm going to say, okay, Frank, I'm ready to go. So I said, okay, Mom. Man, I got on my coat, you know. And we had those kind of coats that had a little belts around, you know. And I had my cap on, you know, my shirt, my tie, and knickers come up to my knees. You know. I walk out there, you know, but I'm sharp, man. I'm sharp. Yeah. So I'm walking out the street with my mom, you know. I'm all dressed up and everything. And my same friends out there in the yard, you know. I mean, out there in the street. So they say, hey, Frankie, you all dressed up. Where you going? I told you I was going to dance, and I was like, Mom, you didn't believe me, did you? Yeah, I'm going to dance with the big folks tonight, man. They said, yeah. I said, yeah, man. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. So I go up to the ballroom with my mother, and it had you know, the dance floor was like down here, and it had a balcony upstairs with boxes, you know, with seats and all that. So my mother told me, okay, this is our box, so you can sit in the box. So I said, okay. So I'm up there, I'm watching the big folks downstairs dancing and carrying on. So after a while, my mother comes up to me, and she said, Frankie, you want to dance? So I said, yeah, Mom, I want to dance. So I walk downstairs, I get on the floor with my mom, and I think about what I used to see them do at the parties. So I'm out there on the floor dancing with my mom, man. And I'm trying to do all that stuff, you know. I'm dancing up. But, you know, to me, I felt like I was carrying on, Jim. I thought I was cooking, Jim. I'm dancing and going on. I thought I was doing the Charleston. Finished the dancing on. I'm so proud of myself. I just finished dancing with my mom, walking off the floor. My mom looked down at me and she said, Frankie? I said, yeah, Mom. You'll never be a dancer. Man, that was a letdown, boy. And I said, well, why you say that, Mom? She said, because you too stiff. So I go home, I started buying records, and I started playing on my Victor. You guys don't know Victor. You know these things, yeah, to wind up. You know, the record run down before it's finished. You know, I had to wind it again. So I bought records, and I would play these records, and I would get a broom or a chair, and I'd be up there dancing, you know. And I called myself getting unstiff. That was my word, getting unstiff. You know, I'd be dancing, I'd be making all this noise. My mother would come knock on it. She said, Frankie, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting unstiff, Mom. You know, I was just dancing. And I just want to tell you the end of this story. This happened like about 1927, and I was 13 years old. 1937, 10 years later, I was performing at the Cotton Club with Whitey's Hoppin' Maniacs. I had Bilbo Jangles Robinson as a big star, Cab Calloway as a star, Lena Horne as another star, and me. Well, I was with Whitey, as I said, I was with the group then. But anyway, I invited my mother and some of her friends to come down to the club, you know, to see the show. So she brought her friends down. They sitting up there. They watch the show. So when the show is over, I come out to the table and I'm sitting with them, and I said, "Well, how did y'all enjoy the show?" Everybody said, "We enjoyed it fun." I said, "How about you, Mom? How did you like the show?" She said, "Oh, the show was wonderful." And she said, "You were great." So I said, "Do you still think I'm too stiff?" She looked at me. "What are you talking about?" I say, "You remember 10 years ago?" She said, "I never told you that." I said, "Oh, yes, you did." But that's how quickly they forget some of these things. But that's what happened.
Let's talk about your influences in dance a little bit, because when you didn't just kind of go to the Savoy and start dancing. That's not the way it worked in Harlem, right? You had to kind of work your way up. That was kind of like graduate school.
Well, I tell you what, there was two guys, Shorty Snowden and Leroy Stretch Jones. They were two of the best dancers in the Savoy Ballroom. Shorty Snowden was a little better because they would go into contests. These two guys would be first or second. Shorty Snowden would win maybe 3 times out of 5 times, you know, and then Leroy would win the other 2. But I kind of love the way that they dance, and we have one film clip here.
Yeah, I think we have. Do we have 2 of Shorty? We have the After 7 is first. Why don't you introduce that clip for us?
Yeah, and I would like to show you Shorty Snowden in his very early years, like 1929, and then later on when he danced with Big B. And I would like for you to notice on the second film that Shorty Snowden and when Big B danced, the step that he does at the end where she picks him up on the back. Okay?
I think, so what we're seeing here, Frankie, is kind of like in the first clip, After 7, it's kind of an early evolution of the Lindy Hop, right? This is starting to develop into what it became when you were in Whitey's Lindy Hoppers. Okay, so this is an early clip of Shorty Snowden from a film called After 7, and a short.
You guys see?
Can we bring the stage lights down? Wasn't that great?
Couple number 3, Shorty Stump and Liza Underdog.
This is Shorty Snowden, and this is like 1929. Well, that was, like I said, that was in 1929, and that was like, was almost like the beginning of Lindy Hop.
Well, yeah, that little fella, he's only 2 hiding falls.
This is about 10 years later.
Will you explain to the court the reason for your charge?
I like them small, Judge, Your Honor, and the other reason is...
So that was my inspiration, Shorty Snowden.
So there's no mystery how he got the nickname, but how tall was Big B, and how tall was Shorty?
Big B was 6'2", and Shorty was a little bit taller. about 5'2".
About 5'2".
And you know what? It was so funny because my other idol was Leroy Stretch Jones, and I'm sorry, I don't have any film of him. And he was about 6'2". And he danced with another young lady that was called Lil B. And at one time, Shorty Snowden, he formed a dancing group, and it was Shorty Snowden and his dancers. And Shorty Snowden danced with Big B, and Leroy Stretch Jones danced with Lil B. And I never could understand why Shorty didn't dance with Lil B, because they both were the same height. But then it wouldn't have been funny.
That's most definitely fun.
Yeah.
If we could move on to Whitey's Lindy Hoppers, the group that you were head choreographer and you were in it for a number of years. Could you tell us a little bit of the background of Whitey's Lindy Hoppers? Because we're going to see, I think we're going to see Hot Chocolates next, aren't we? Is that what we're going to see?
think so.
Yeah, I think Hot Chocolates is next.
We got something, I don't know what it is. Yeah, well, Whitey's, well, I just want to tell you, Whitey, Herbert White was his name, and he was a bouncer, ex-prize fighter, and he became a bouncer in the Savoy Ballroom. And during the time that he was a bouncer in the Savoy Ballroom, he was the reason for, like, the Lindy Hoppers getting together and forming a group. Because, or even back in those days, Mr. Buchanan, who was the manager of the Savoy Ballroom, used to say, well, you know, these crazy Lindy Hoppers, they out there and they kicking everybody, you know. So Whitey said, well, why don't we just put one section of the ballroom so that these young dancers can go to and dance. So that's how Cat's Corner became known. Well, we didn't call it Cat's Corner, we just said the corner. I mean, later on they started calling it Cat's Corner. But we would say, hey man, we're gonna see those cats up in the corner, right? Say, yeah. So we would talk about, say like we would talk about Paul, you know. Paul was a cat, you know. And he would be in the corner and say, I want to see this cat in the corner, you know. So they just started calling it Cat's Corner.
Now, Cat's Corner was a very dangerous place to be if you weren't a very good dancer, though, was it not? That's
It wasn't dangerous. I mean, I know that's I don't know. Some people say that, but I know, like you read Marshall Stern's book, and it says in Marshall Stern that somebody told Marshall Stern that you could not go in the circle in Cat's Corner unless the other guys in the corner let you, but that wasn't true. Anybody could go in there.
But you might die of embarrassment if not.
That's the point.
That's a good point.
Well, I tell you, the very first time I went into the Savoy Ballroom, I wouldn't go up there by myself because I was afraid that I wouldn't get anybody to dance with. So being another, about 6 of us went up there together, 3 girls and 3 fellas. So we said, yeah, this way we know we can have somebody to dance with. So the 6 of us went up there. And we walked, when we first went into the Savoy Ballroom, we walked over to the corner, and we saw there was guys dancing out there. And we looked at each other, said, we ain't dancing in there, man. So we went down to the other end of the ballroom, far away from where they were, man. But what we would do every night is like we'd be dancing in one corner. Maybe I better explain about the Savoy Ballroom.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Now, the Savoy Ballroom, I want you guys to try to picture this. Savoy Ballroom was a very, very large ballroom. It was 1 city block long, 1 city block, and 1 city block wide. And it had 2, not 1, 2 bandstands right against the wall at the center of the ballroom. So they had bandstand, the ballroom was like north and south in length. So the north side had 1 full band, 13 pieces. The south side, 1 full band, 13 pieces. And they have 2 bands every single night in the week. Every night in the week. Not 1 in a month, or 2 in a month. Every single night. So, say Chick Webb was playing on 1 bandstand, but we call him the house band. So he played on number 1 stand, which was the band on the north. And the other band, at that time they had a Teddy Hill's band. and he played on the south side. Now both of these bands were, as I said, 13 pieces. And a lot of times some of these bands had the same arrangement. And one band would be playing this particular number. The other band comes onto the bandstand and they sit down and they start playing the same number that that band played at the same time. So this band would fade out, say Chick Webb would fade out and Teddy Hill would continue to play. So we had like continuous dancing, man. And the only thing about that is that, about the Savoy Ballroom, is that they would put you out there early. They would put you out the ballroom early. And that was the only thing, you know, they put you out like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, sure.
It was too early, you know. And I want to tell you something. The only way they could get you out of the ballroom is that they would start playing waltzes.
You knew it was good, you were done.
They started playing waltzes. Everybody say, okay, time for me to go. I get my coat, I'm getting out of here, man. You know? So, I mean, because, you know, like nowadays, I go to dances and the band, the last number of the band will play like sing, sing, sing. You know, get everybody out on the floor. They're ready to dance now, you know. And then the band say, okay, that's it for the night. You know, if they had did that in the Savoy Ballroom, it would never close. Because they would be dancing, the guys would be dancing all night. So they said, well, if we play a waltz, we know it ain't gonna be too many people dancing. So they started playing a waltz and everybody started walking out of the ballroom. Time to go home, you know. And that'd be about 4 a.m. in the morning.
So after you'd been in the Cat's Corner for a while, Whitey approached you, did he not, to be in this group, to start this group of kids?
Yeah, well, as I said, when I first went up there, I went up there with friends of mine. So what we would do, we would dance on the south side of the ballroom, and all of us up there was dance. We thought we were pretty good, but we knew that we weren't good enough to dance with those guys on the north side. So what we would do, we would be dancing down there, and I would say to my friend, maybe Billy or George, I'd say, hey man, I'm going over there and see what those cats are doing. So he said, okay. So I would walk over there, and I would watch them guys out there dancing. They'd be doing a step, you know, and I would watch them a while. I was pretty good at stealing back in those days.
You still are. I saw you take my thing last time. Yeah, he has the greatest quote in the world. He says, do it once and it's still yours. Do it twice and it's mine, Jack. So I'm trying to act like you didn't say it.
So anyways, I would go over there and I'd watch them cats and I'd steal his stuff. And then I'd come back over there and show my friend. I'd say, hey man, they're doing this over there, man. And it goes like this, you know. And I would do the step, you know, and I'd teach it to them, you know. And then after a while, Billy say, hey, I'm going to watch that. I say, okay. So Billy would go over and he'd steal a step and come back and show it up. So we were stealing everything them guys was doing. We might not have been doing it like they did or as good as they did, but we were doing the same thing they were doing. But anyway, eventually, while I was dancing over there, we all knew Whitey because Whitey, his name was Herbert White. We call him Whitey because he had a white streak right down the side of his head. And he used to walk up and down the ballroom. Now what he would do, he would walk around among dancers and he would watch them and he would say, you know, if they were good or had potential or anything like that. And he would grab some dancers and he'd say, well listen, you want to join this boy Lindy Hopper? So they said, yeah. Well, it actually wasn't a club, but it was just a bunch of dancers who loved to dance and they got privileges like coming to the Savoy Ballroom like during the day and practice if they want to. And sometimes the band would be rehearsing, they practice while the band was playing. And they had the privilege of coming to the Savoy and getting in for free. So everybody knew Whitey. So when Whitey walked over to me one night, he said, hey kid, come here. So I walked over to him, so he said, well, what's your name? I said, Frankie Manning. He said, well, my name is Whitey. I said, yeah, I know, man. So everybody knew Whitey. So he said, how would you like to dance over there with the Savoy Lindy Hopper? So I said, yeah, man, I want to dance. Everybody wants to dance with them, you know. So he said, okay, come on with me. I'll introduce you to some of the guys. So I started walking off with him. When I got about halfway, I said, Whitey, what about my friends? Can I bring them along with me? So he said, well, no, I don't want them now. So I said, well, if you don't want my friends, I don't think I'll go, you know. So he said, okay. I mean, just no argument, you know. So he turned away and walked. He turned around and walked away. So I said, well, okay. So I turned on back and I went over there. So my friends had seen me talking to Whitey. So they started crying, like, hey man, I saw you talking to Whitey. What's up? You gonna join the Lindy Hoppers or something? So I said, well, he asked me to join the Lindy Hoppers. Oh man, wow, they started getting excited for me. You're gonna be one of Lindy. I said, but I turned him down. They said, what? What do you mean you turned him down? I said, well, I asked him about you guys coming along, but he said that he didn't want you there. So I said, well, I'm not coming. And my friend, my very good friend, he turned out to be my 50-year friend, Billy Rickler. He said, Frankie? I said, yeah, Billy. He said, you stupid. He said, if that had been me, man, I would have went on and joined. I would have gone over there with him because I see you guys anytime, which is true. But I wasn't thinking like that. I was just, man, I want my friends with me, because these are the guys that I know, my friends, my girls, and all of them. I want them with me. But anyway, it turned out okay because about 2 or 3 weeks later, he came over. He said, hey, Frankie. So I said, yeah. So I thought he was going to ask me again, He said, well, you can bring your friends over. So I said, oh, yeah, okay. So I told him, and we all joined us boy Lindy Hoppers at the same time. And it turned out very good because I became almost like Whitey's right-hand man, because I was a pretty good dancer. And I had a pretty good rhythm and stuff like that. And a pretty good sense of the music and dancing and create. I was pretty creative, and so I became like the choreographer for Whitey's Lindy Hoppers, by creating the first air step and creating ensemble dancing with the Lindy Hoppers. That kind of propelled them into the doing performances in nightclubs and theaters and movies.
Now, we definitely want to hear that story of the first air step, but can we see a clip? I know, but did you see how many hands were out there?
Yeah, but you see how many people out there said they heard you talk already?
We love it.
All I want to hear about
We love it.
Besides, it was free. We could do anything we want. They didn't pay. We just turn off the microphones, have fun. Okay, but I think we're gonna see the clip from Hot Chocolates first. Now, but before we see that, you developed kind of a different style from what the Lindy Hop was doing. You had an idea about how you wanted it to look once you got, in Cat's Corner and stuff like that. Can you talk about that for just a second? Because we're about to see you dance in this.
Yeah, well, what happened is that I used to watch Shorty Snowden and Leroy Stretch Jones. Now, these guys, they come from like the old school. And most of the dancers back in those days were dancing like ballroom dancers, which was upright. I mean, if you notice, when you first saw Shorty in 1929, and he was dancing, like up here. And I had this idea that I wanted to look like I was flying, but we didn't have no, mirrors and things like that. So I didn't actually know how I looked. But then I started dancing, and I was, like getting down, Jim. I was young in those days, So I would get down, and I would stretch my leg out way behind me, and I was almost parallel to the floor when I was dancing. And then somebody hollered out, hey Frankie, you look like you're flying. And I said, yeah. And that's the look I wanted. I wanted to look like I was flying, because this was the Lindy Hop, man. I wanted to look like I was flying, but I didn't know that that's how I looked, although I felt like that, but I didn't really know till somebody else told me that. So that's how I got that style. So most of the younger dancers around my age, they started doing the dance the same way.
Well, let's see you fly.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be Dan the rest of that thing.
Here's my favorite stuff.
This is decoration. You can keep it there. That's all. That's Troy Brown and Ivy Anderson from Victor and Geraly. This is Johnny and Dot Miller. She's Norma Miller's sister.
going.
Yeah, we can play.
Yes. Oh, can I move? Yes.
This is me and Rosemary Ricker. She was not my regular dance partner, but back in those days we could dance with anybody.
That's actually somebody's head in the theater where this was pirated from. So the first thing that we saw was actually Day at the Races with the Marx Brothers. That's available on video if you want to see that again. And Frankie, you weren't actually in that scene from Day at the Races.
No, I was not in that thing. What happened was that at that particular time, Whitey had 3 different groups of dancers. And this particular group that was in Day at the Races, they were actually on the road with Ethel Waters. They did not have a contract to do the movie, but they were on the road with Ethel Waters. And they were playing a theater, I think it was Olympia Theater in Los Angeles. And the movie Day at the Races was being shot. And I understand that one of the, I don't know, big shots in the movie happened to go to the theater, and they saw Whitey's Lindy Hop was performing. And he thought it would be a good idea to put them in the Day at the Races. So it wasn't one of those movies where they went to Hollywood to be in the movies. It's just that they were there and they were seen, be in the right place at the right time. So that's how they actually became to be in the movie. But the reason why I was not with that group was because I was performing at the Cotton Club with as I said, Miss Lena Horn and Cap Calloway, Bill Bojangles. And I thought that was a big deal. And at the same time, Whitey had another group that was called Tiny Bunch in his group, which was playing at the Harlem Opera House. So he had 3 big groups going at one time. Tiny Bunch was about 6'4", and he weighed about 410. But that guy could move like a cat. I mean, he was light on his feet. Now, he used to dance with a young lady named Doc Johnson, and that's what she was, a doc. She weighed about 90 pounds. And Tiny used to swing that girl around like King Kong did Fay Ray in the movie. But he was the head of that group. So Whitey had 3 big groups going at that time.
And just skipping ahead a little bit, I think we don't actually have hot chocolates on this tape. Is that right? I think we're going right to. I think we're going right to the big dog now.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I think we should. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think we
Oh,
should.
absolutely. So this is a piece of film that we're going to see. It's from a movie called Hell's a Poppin', right?
Oh.
What is? I think that's next on there.
I think so.
It's your tape?
Yeah, but I don't know what's on it. I just put something on there. So, yeah, I think
We started right on time. We don't know what we're going to see next. This is going great.
Yeah, I'll put it on there.
Just set it up for us, though. It's free, right? You didn't pay. So can you set up the clip for us, though? What year was Hell's a Poppin'?
Oh, Hell's a Poppin'. Okay, this was actually a movie that we had a contract to do. We were contracted in New York. So we actually choreographed the routine while I was still in New York. So we had 4 teams doing this. And it was, I think it was right after the Harvest Moon Ball. So we had, while he had the best teams, and he had Billy Ricker and Norman Miller, William Downs and Mickey Jones, Al Mims and William A. Ricker, and Ann Johnson and some guy named Frankie Manning. So, so we had those four teams. So we, as I said, we choreographed the routine before we went to Hollywood. So when I got to Hollywood, it's the same routine that you would see on the screen, but the credit for doing the choreography goes to Nick Castle. Now Nick Castle was the dance director for the studio, and Nick Castle happens to be tap dancer, and if you've seen the Nicholas Brothers, that's the kind of work that he does. But he was not a Lindy Hopper. So when we went to Hollywood and we were there, and he came on the set, see us dance, so he came on, he said, well, do you guys have a routine? So we said, yes. He said, well, can I see it? So we did the routine, the same routine that you see up there. We did the routine. He said, well, do you do splits? So we said, well, yeah. He said, well, at the end, I want you to jump over each other and do a split. So that was his choreography. That's all he did. Everything else was stuff that I choreographed.
The song is a little bit fast too, this one you're going to be asked to.
Oh, that wasn't fast, man.
318.
We were, you know, everybody said, well, Frankie, that was speeded up, wasn't it? So I said, no, man. I'll tell you, at that particular time, as I said, we were youngsters. At that time, that music was right in the pocket. Right in the pocket, man. But when we were dancing, it was like, you could hit every beat, Jim. I mean, and we were so together, it wasn't even funny. We could have been, what was it, 8 of us? What do you call octet? Octuplets? Because we was dancing so much together, it was just like we were one.
Yeah.
Because we had, we really had rehearsed, and Whitey put me in charge of the group, and they started calling me Simon LeGree because I had them rehearsing over and over and over again. They say, Frankie, I'm tired. I said, that's good. Do it again.
And what you're about to see is evidence of that kind of dedication and work schedule to this routine, because it's by far the greatest piece of Lindy Hop on film. So let's roll Hell's Poppin'. Let's see it.
Do you want me to bring it down? Carla.
Boy, it looks good, doesn't it?
You know anything about love?
For me? Oh, that's me. I'm a married man.
This is Slam and Stewart. Slam, I'm sorry. Slam Stewart and Slim Gaylord. Slim and Slam. Slim is on the piano. Slam is on the bass. California, man.
Hey, Pop, he said be the beat. I feel a vision green song coming on.
And he's rapping. That's in 1941, y'all.
I'll be gone. Oh, man, don't stop. Now we jumping. Everything's lost now. They might turn into something. I ain't mistaken, y'all. I'm jumping now.
This is Mickey and Downs. Mickey is the young lady. Downs is the fellow. That was the topic.
That was pretty good.
I don't know. It was wonderful making that particular movie. A lot of times I've got to say we were kind of young then. People say, well, Frankie, how could you dance that fast and do all that stuff like that? I say I was young. We always call each other young and stupid because we were just used to do crazy things. And when we were actually making this movie in Hollywood, a lot of times, you know, stars from other movies, they would come on the set where we were because, I mean, the rumor had got around the whole studio, man. You got to go to that set and see them crazy lady hoppers over there, man. Because they just come in, and we're not even rehearsing, but they would come in, somebody would be playing music, and we'd just get out there and just dance. And, because, as I said, that's the way that we were. I remember one particular time when Freddie Stair came onto the set and with some of his friends, and we were out there just dancing, you know, like we usually do, just dancing. And he was not talking to us; he was talking to his friend, and he said to his friend, but he said, "Man, I wish I could dance like that." And we were dancing, and we heard it. We stopped. We looked at him. You know, but we all trying to dance like Fred Astaire, man. But he talking about he want to dance like us. But I just want to tell you, I mean, later on I saw a movie that he and Ginger Rogers made, and they were doing a semblance of the Lindy Hop. And then I looked at him doing it, and I said, "Okay, Fred, I understand what you mean." not a Lindy album. I'm sorry, He's one of my favorites, but please.
I wanted to talk just a second in terms of the stars you ran into, since we're on that track anyway. Now, you worked with a lot of great bands, too, because you did a lot of stage work, right, after you got kind of known in Whitey's groups. So you worked with, once you worked, actually, you won a contest, and the prize was to work with Duke Ellington, was it not?
Yeah.
Can you tell us that story about
man. This was probably the first time, well, I was not a professional because I had, they would have a contest at the Apollo Theater every Thursday night. And if you win like 3 Thursday nights in a row, they would give you a week's engagement with the band that was going to start the next day, which was Friday. So I happened to win 3 of the contests in a row. And so they said, well, okay, you have a week starting tomorrow. And the band is going to be Duke Ellington. Said, man, my first professional time on a stage, and I didn't know a damn thing about the stage, to tell you the truth. Gonna be with Duke Ellington, man, wow. So the next morning, we coming out to the rehearsal hall, and Duke is, rehearsing everybody's music. So he said, well, I think we have some Lindy Hoppers here or something. So I said, yeah, that's me. He said, well, what's your name? I said, my name is Frankie Manning, and this is my partner, Hilda. So he said, well, you have any music? I'm an amateur. What do I know about music? I didn't even know nothing about music. So he says, well, what do you want us to play for you? Well, I'm used to listening to, Chick Webb and those swing bands, So I said, well, how about let's get together? Chick Webb's Let's Get Together. He said, well, we don't play that. So I said, well, I was jumping at the west side. Yeah, we don't play that. This is 1934, y'all. And I don't know if you guys don't know that. But in 1934, Duke Ellington was not swinging. I mean, he played, they used to call Duke Ellington's band the Jungle Band. Because, he played stuff like Black and Tan, Fantasy, Sophisticated Lady. I mean, it was a great band, wonderful band. But for us dancers, we didn't consider him a swinger. So when Duke asked me about music, I didn't know anything that he played that we danced to. So then I started to say another tune, and he said, well, isn't there anything of ours that you like to dance to? So I couldn't think of anything. So he says, well, we have a tune called Stompy Jones. You want to dance to that? So we said, yeah, I never heard of it. I was dancing anything he said. So he said, well, okay. So I danced the whole, don't ask me how it goes because I don't remember, So I danced the whole week with Duke Ellington's band to a tune called Stompy Jones. And as I said, I don't know how it goes. But it was such a wonderful week. I mean, being with Duke. Duke was and still is. He was one of the top bands. And generally, the Apollo Theater had like 4 shows a day, right? But when Duke was there, because he drew such a crowd, they had 5 shows a day. So we did 5 shows every day. Every day with Duke Ellington's band. So, like during that period of time, I mean, it was such a wonderful time, man. I was at the Apollo Theater with Duke Ellington's band. So I used to see my friends out in the street. I say, hey, yeah, man, I'm at the Apollo Theater. Duke is there too.
Duke's no good for the Lindy Hoppers again.
That was a wonderful engagement. I mean, as I said, it was wonderful day.
I meant to ask you, you said 5 shows a day, that's a lot. How many takes did you do for Health Department? How many takes did that take?
Oh, please. I don't know, man. Because, like this was in 1941. And what they would do, they would set up camera at one angle. And then we have to go through the routine. And they say, okay, y'all rest a few minutes. And they set up the camera somewhere else. We have to go through the routine again. Like nowadays, you have guys running around the stage with cameras strapped on them, you know, they shoot you any kind of way. But then, those days, they had to move the camera from place to place, and every time they moved the camera, you had to dance. So man, they wore us out. And I think I think about 2 weeks it took us to shoot the whole thing. And man, we would like get there like 6 o'clock in the morning and leave like 12 o'clock at night. Wow. And then we would go dancing. That's right. When we left the set, we would go there. There was a club called Club Alabama. And it had, y'all heard of Johnny Otis? Yeah, his band was playing there then. He had a band, he was a young kid, he was. But he had a band playing at Club Alabama. And we used to go there and dance with Johnny Otis' band. Wow. Yeah. After we finished all day doing this movie. But as I said, we were young and crazy, man.
Well, I think you're still young and crazy. I know about the rest of you.
I just want to tell you, Paul, I ain't young, but I'm still crazy.
That's the good part. I wanted to fast forward a little bit and talk about the resurgence of Lindy Hop. Now, after the war, the music kind of changed, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, and the band started it became too expensive to keep a big band together, and the music was changing anyway, right? Yeah. So, you went to work for the post office after the war, did you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I just want to tell you a little story. When I came out of the Army, I formed a group called the Kangaroo Dancers, and one of our engagements, among our first engagement, was performing with Dizzy Gillespie, and his band was in Washington D.C. We were to be with Dizzy for a week, and we had I had to, you know, Count Basie's music jumping at the woodside, you know, when we danced, you know. So I gave this music to the band. They had a drummer up there, we used to call him Foots. And he was bebop drummer. And he was hit. And we were up there dancing. I came off the stage and Dizzy was standing in the wing. I can't tell you what I said because it'll turn the place off. But I said, Dizzy, what kind of music is that? Dizzy just looked at me and laughed and walked off because he knew I didn't understand, and I didn't. Man, that was a horrible week. It was horrible. Yeah, because they were bopping the whole thing the whole week long.
And after when you went to work for the post office, you worked there for quite a long time, right?
Yeah, I worked to the post office from 55 to 85.
To 85.
Wow. Yeah. And 30 years.
And you were still dancing during that time, but you weren't dancing professionally. Right?
Well, I stopped dancing professionally, right. But I had one of these, what we call tours, you know, so I used to work like from 3:30 to 12 midnight. After that, I would go dance.
Go dance?
Yeah, because, you know, I made a lot of new friends in the post office, and with so many people working in the post office, there were a lot of different groups that had clubs and things, you know, and the groups would give parties and give dances. And boy, after 12 o'clock, one guy said, "Hey, where you going, man? So-and-so is giving a party, Jim. Okay, be there," you know, so we was always there. But you know what I used to love to go to parties, man, I tell you, boy, because I had a bunch of friends, and these guys were all like drinkers, you know, they liked to drink. And I was not a drink, I didn't drink. And when we would go to these parties, these guys would be off to the side at the bar or somewhere in the corner. They'd be talking and drinking, and the girls are out there dancing with each other. So when I went to the party with them, I would be out there dancing with all the girls, you know, because I was not the drinker. So
in a barrel. Right?
So the wives and the girlfriend would say, "Okay." They would tell their boyfriends and their husbands, say, "Make sure Frankie come with y'all because he's the only one that dances with us." So man, I was having a lot of fun.
You get a lot of trouble that way, Victor. So, but when you were getting ready to retire from the post office, you received kind of an interesting phone call that brought you back into professional dancing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I got this phone call, and this young lady was online, and she said, are you Frankie Manning, the famous dancer? I said, well, I'm Frankie Manning. But I work at the post office. And I said, well, who is this? So she said, my name is Aaron Stevens, and I have my partner here, Stephen Mitchell. And she told me she lived in Pasadena, California, and we would like to take some lessons with you. Would you mind giving us some private lessons? So I said, listen, I work in the post office, I don't do that stuff anymore. I don't dance about it. So she said, well, we're coming to New York. Would you mind seeing us when you come here? So I said, yeah, but I'm not be teaching. I won't be teaching. So when they came to New York, and the New York Dance Society, they gave a dance, and Aaron and Steve were there, so they came over and introduced themselves to me. They asked somebody who I was, so they came over and so I said, yeah, okay, it was nice meeting you guys and all that. So they were out on the floor dancing, and I saw them dance, and to me, they had potential, you know. I mean, I think about that now, and I say, well, you know, I think maybe it's the same thing that Whitey saw in me that I see in Aaron Stevens and Stephen Mitchell. And I mean, if any of you guys know Stephen Mitchell, you know I was right, man. This cat can wail, boy, and Aaron can wail too, boy. So I said, well, yeah. I'll see if I can help you out. So I brought them up to my house, and I said, well, you know, dance. Let me see what you dance. So they put on some number that way up tempo, you know, and they started doing that thing, you know, jumping up and down. And so I said, wait a minute. I stopped that record, and I put on Shiny Stockings. You know, dun 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 dun. I said, dance to that. And they didn't know how. So I said, well, okay, now I'll work with you. So I started working with them, and well, I'm kind of happy that I did. Because here I am today, and there they are today.
I was going to say, here we are all today, right? Yeah. It's like having Yoda in the room. We've not talked about this before. I just wanted to briefly talk about, one, your Tony Award for choreographing Black and Blue on Broadway. Can you talk about that experience a little bit? I mean, did you see that coming? You think, yeah.
Well, that was quite an experience. I had never did any. Well, I had did some choreography for Broadway, but it was more like assistant. Back in 1938, we did a show called Midnight Summer's Dream. And Agnes DeMille was a choreographer for the show, and they had Whitey's Lindy Hoppers in that show. And there was a scene that the Lindy Hoppers and the choir, the singing choir, was supposed to do. So Agnes DeMille asked Whitey if he could choreograph something for the dancers and the singers to do. So Whitey said, yeah. And he came to me. Whitey always did that, you know, whenever there was anything dancing, Frankie so-and-so, Frankie so-and-so. So he came on to me, he said, well, Frankie, y'all gonna do this thing with the singers and the dancers, so I want you to choreograph something for them. So I did this little scene with the singers and dancers. So that was the first time I had ever did anything like that. But Black and Blue, these Sergio and Hector, I forget the guy's last name, but they were the producers of Black and Blue. And they came to me and they asked me if I would, choreograph a couple of numbers for the show. They had Henry Tang was choreographing something for the show. Fayard Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers was choreographing something for the show. And Charlie Atkins also choreographed something for the show. So they asked me, and I said, well, yeah, I'll do something. So I showed them what I did, so they said, well, yeah, that's exactly what we want. So I had this opportunity to work with these Broadway dancers. They were seasoned dancers, but there was not one Lindy Hopper among them. So I really didn't do any Lindy Hopper, and I did mostly jazz and blues with them on that show. But it was wonderful. I mean, it was quite an experience, as I say, because I would get up on the floor like sometimes these dancers, they belong to union, right? And they get like 10-minute break, 10 or 15-minute break, like every hour, you know. So, and they would take it, you know, like time is up, because the union representative would come over to me and say, well, time for their break. You know, that was how strict they were. So I say, okay. So they would sit down, and I would get up on the floor, you know, I'll be playing music, and I'll be, you know, working out a step or something. And before I know it, all of them was up on the floor with me, you know, trying to do what I was doing, you know. And man, I say, hey, I'm gonna be in trouble. I said, don't worry about it. We on our break, we can do whatever we want to do. So it was wonderful working with them, you know, because, boy, they catch on like that. Yeah. Man, I mean, the only thing was that I could teach them the step, but I couldn't, like, you know, like, get the feel until, you know, what I wanted them to, you know, how I wanted them to feel, you know, like I wanted them to get their guts, you know, to get the soul, you know, to get the, well, you know what I'm talking about. You know, to get all that into it. But it was wonderful working with them. It was really quite an experience.
And then just a few years later, along comes Spike Lee and Malcolm X.
Yeah, Spike Lee. Oh, that's something. Oh man. Actually, I was in Europe at Harang in Sweden at the time when that happened, and I'd heard that they were looking for me in New York because they wanted me to choreograph, or not choreograph. They wanted me to consult as a consultant to the dance, because they had this scene from the 40s, you know, and I was the only one around. I could tell them what went on and how they acted back in those days.
That's all I knew. We're looking for you.
So when I came back from Sweden in August, and I went to the rehearsal and I taught the dances and everything like that. And then I started teaching them, and so I had to also work with Spike Lee and Denzel Washington. And I had 2 hours. I had to teach Denzel Washington, and then I had to teach Spike Lee. And I had 2 hours a day with each one of them. And I just want to tell you, at the end of every day, Spike would come to me. Frankie, do I look like a Lindy Hopper yet? And I said, Spike, no.
You said Denzel caught on a little quicker than Spike.
Oh, yeah. Denzel was. I mean, he's an actor, and this guy. I mean, you know, I would just be. Maybe I was just walking, you know, and he would copy my walk. Yeah, I mean, if I was walking, I was trying to show the dance or something like that, and he would be sitting up there watching, and he'd see me. And that's while he was up on the floor, you know, trying to do the walk. I mean, there's a scene where he and Spike Lee are walking down the street. You know, they got on their, you know, their suits and everything, and they're walking in, and then Denzel have to change his step, you know, do a little step, you know, to get in time with it, and they were walking down swinging. So 2 o'clock in the morning, one morning, 2 o'clock, I got this phone call. Frankie, they want you over to on the set right away. I said, 2 o'clock in the morning, man. So I got up, put my clothes on, I went over there, and Spike Lee wanted me to show them this walk. 2 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I tell that to them. And I showed them the film of House of Poppin'. And the first thing that Denzel saw on that was me snatching my partner. And he said, Frankie, I want to do that, I want to do that. I said, Denzel, you don't want to do that, man. He said, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that stuff where you throw over your arm and you snatch it to you. I said, come on, man, you don't want to do that. And his co-star, Teresa Randall, you know, she was petite, you know, and she was nice, you know. So anyway.
PG-13.
So I said, Teresa, you don't want to do that with him. You know, she's so meek. She said, well, if he wants to do it, I'll do it, you know. I said, oh, man. So then I taught Denzel how to do that. Now, Denzel was a very strong guy, you know, and Teresa was very light. So when he did learn how to do the step, this one rehearsal, he was doing his stuff, and he got so enthusiastic, man. He swung Teresa over there, and she was in front of him, and he snatched her, and this girl was flying through the air. And everybody was like, you know. And he just caught her by the heel of her shoe. And he looked back at her and he said, I got you, girl. All of us had a heart attack, man. We're having a heart attack. And he told me, I got you, girl. I said, Denzel, don't do that no more, man. But yeah, he was very good. But I mean, if you see the movie Malcolm X, you see what Spike Lee was doing in the movie. He just running around the floor, you know, trying to get away from this girl. That's because he couldn't dance. You know, they had to give him something funny to do, you know, so he can look good. But that was also a wonderful experience. I gave them, because Spike had asked me, so, can you get some music for us to do this number 2? So I brought him a couple of numbers, but I told him I thought Lion Hunters Flying Home would be the best number because it was very exciting. So they played that number, and he said, yeah, this is good. So we used that number and choreographed that particular routine.
Yeah, it looked like you had a really good time in that film.
Oh, it was a lot of fun,
So, bringing us to present day, I was looking at Judy's website today. I was checking out Frankie Manning's schedule, kind of spying on you for 2004. It seems that you have 28 gigs lined up already, and you're on the road for a total of 166 days, I think, or something like that. So you're pretty much, yeah, well, you should look at your schedule. That includes travel days. You're not teaching every day, but yeah, you know, I mean, but that's a fairly hefty schedule going on right now.
If you say so, if Judy says that, she knows more about my schedule than I do.
She knows where to go.
I said, hey, Judy, where am I next week?
Yeah. Wake up, Frankie.
Let me look here. Are you so? I said, okay, thanks, baby.
Well, this is not like going to Newark, New Jersey either. You got Singapore on there, you got Australia on there, you got Sweden on there for an entire month. You got all these European gigs and Asian gigs. You're everywhere, man. How do you keep going?
Well, I just tell you, what I do. I get up in the morning, and I go to the airport and get a ticket to get on the plane.
Come on now.
Yeah, I do it.
You got 350 people waiting for the secret of longevity. Right? I'll buy a ticket.
Well, I mean, aside from answering that particular question, I just want to say that I have a couple of places that I'm going to this year that I haven't been to before, and I'm pretty excited about them. I'm going to Vienna, Austria.
Really?
Yeah, nice. Vienna. And I'm going, they do the waltz there, you know, Vienna waltz. I'm going to teach them how to swing it. And then I'm going to Amsterdam, Holland.
Nice.
Yeah, do some clogging. Yeah, I can dig myself with these big long shoes out there.
I want a picture of that.
Weigh a pound and a half, and I'll be swinging with them, right?
That'd be good.
Yeah,
that idea. That's cool. Well, I mean, reflective of your schedule, obviously, the resurgence of Lindy Hop has been great for you and great for the community because you are such an ambassador of the dance. Your attitude is so great. We all draw so much influence from you, not only in our dancing styles that we copy after you a lot, but also just in your attitude toward the dance and toward life. And I think we want to show your birthday video from last year. Right? This kind of reflects how people feel.
Yeah, and this is my 89th. There's a film out that was done for my 80th birthday, and this is one for my 89th birthday, and it was done by Manu Smith. And this is how it has gotten around the world, because this is more places added to that other film.
So these are dancers all over the world doing their tribute to you for your birthday.
That it? That's not it.
At Frankie's 80th birthday,
That's not it.
he asked him her wife, and he said he traveled the world, he lived everywhere, and there was nothing he came out of
Press stop. There's what?
There's only 3 tapes in.
And that one says Frankie's
That one says-
89th birthday?
Look inside now. Frankie, man, 89th birthday.
89th birthday.
It says that on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Is that from the beginning?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know now.
Let's give a look.
Can we forward it?
May I see that, please? Oh, excuse me, y'all. Yeah, it says 89. Rewind it all the way, please, again.
Rewind.
Yeah, let's see. Sorry, folks.
It's okay.
That's all right. Watch yourself.
That's the same one.
There's that cool car again.
Fast forward a little bit. I'm gonna see
Forward
something.
it.
Fast forward.
Excuse me.
Where that is.
Well, that's the dedication that was done for the Savoy plaque.
So there was a plaque put in the sidewalk where this boy ballroom stood,
Okay.
yes? In the sidewalk in the building?
No, that's not it. Okay.
It was
sorry.
really cool, you guys.
Yeah.
Here, we'll recreate it. Frankie?
You got another film there? The home video?
Yeah, we have the funniest the America's
Home
funniest
videos.
Lindy Hop videos.
This is very, very short. But I happened to see this, and I cracked up, and I think you will get the same reaction.
I haven't seen this either. I was
Okay.
clean.
Time for a pop quiz for the audience. That's a fairly young audience. How many of you, by show of hands, know who Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers were? All right, okay, a few. For those who don't, they were dancers, great dancers in movies. Arguably, Ginger Rogers was the better dancer because, as has been said, she had to do everything Fred Astaire did, only backwards and in high heels. What you're about to see are a lot of people who definitely have sent dance backwards.
I just wanted to leave you with a laugh.
But how did you get all of your best students to make that tape for you?
I actually got it from Stuart, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I wanted to just thank you from the bottom of our hearts and from the Northern California Ladies Society and probably everybody in the audience here too. Thank you for sharing with us again. It's so nice to have you come and talk in addition to teaching for the weekend. So, Mr. Frankie, man. Frankie's gonna be signing. You're gonna be signing some posters, right, Frankie? Some of the Frankie Manning posters. Some of those. Judy, do you know where the signing table is gonna be?
I thought over there.
Over there in the corner.
Chad is-
Right here.
Oh, over there where Chad is waving his hands. That's Chad, everybody. Yeah, so the signing table is going to be over there. So if you want to buy a poster, buy it from Judy, head on over to the signing. Once again, everybody, Frankie Manning, thank you so much for coming out. We'll let the man stand up. And we'll hand you back to Dick Lawrence. Get Paul